So our next session is strategy and value creation by Mr. Khalid Noor. Uh, Welcome, Mr. Khalid.
Hi,
Uh,
can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
yeah, walaikum assalam. We can hear you. Welcome to the
Right.
Global Strategy Execution Summit. Good morning to you. Uh, so I'll just before you start, I'll just a quick introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Khalid Noor is a distinguished fellow member of ICAP and an alumnus of Harvard Business School's Executive Education Program. Epitomizes a relentless commitment to leadership development, fostering high-performance organizations and enhancing skills within the Pakistan's dynamic business environment. With a wealth of experience and expertise, Khalid has become a driving force in cultivating effective leadership practices and fostering a culture of excellence in the Pakistan business landscape. So, Mr. Khalid, I would like to hear because this is the best thing about this event. Okay, so we bring the leaders, experts across the globe. So we would like to hear from you how the strategy and value creation is happening in Pakistan, and how you help organizations, and what is advice for the participants to have the key takeaways from you. So over to you, Mr. Khalid. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Sahab. It's a pleasure, and thank you for inviting me on your esteemed Global Strategy Execution Summit. Can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay, great. And can you see my screen? I've actually
I
shared
think you need
the.
to share it. Yeah, yeah. You need to share it. You can just
I've shared. Yeah,
press
I have
the
shared it.
button.
Is it visible?
No, not yet. Not yet. Uh,
Then I need some help from Kuldeep to
yeah,
help
yeah.
me because I've already shared it and I'm only seeing my presentation screen. I'm not unable to see.
No
Just a
problem.
second. I'm doing it for you. Just a second.
Yeah, you can see it now.
Right. So, so after a very exciting topic of discussion and strategy process by Mihai, and I'm a student of Mihai, so it's a bit of a pressure for me to present after him. But what an excellent session, kickoff session today on strategy process. And you're absolutely right that in today's ever-changing world, in technology, in business environment, in politics, in technology, running business has become extremely complex. I used to remember that we used to do strategy exercise every 2 years, and things were doing fine. But today, strategy is a continuous process. In my last job, I was asked to do a strategy review every quarter, and I I said it would be too much to work. Maybe we can do it twice a year. So that's what today's strategy dynamics are. And today, my topic is about the value creation part of strategy because the outcome of any strategy has to be value creation for its stakeholders. And so, uh, a little bit about myself, although Sheikh Saab has actually introduced me. So I am a professional accountant, but I've been blessed with a variety of experiences. My last role was director of finance, HR, and information system at a local pharmaceutical company. Prior to that, I was country head HR at Novartis Pharma, Pakistan, where I led the HR for 5 years. And prior to that, I was country CFO at Novartis Pharma. And before that, I spent a lot of time at Unilever, Pakistan, about 19 years at Unilever. And my last job was finance director of the food division. I also received my training at KPMG London office. I attended my hunger was, although I spent a lot of time at Unilever, but I didn't get a formal education in strategy. So my hunger took me to Harvard Business School, where they were running a strategy program, short strategy program, about a week program on sustainable strategy and competitive advantage. And I learned the basics of strategy there. Also attended advanced management program, because if you are in a finance for too long, then your view and vision are very conservative and blinkered sometimes. So in order to open the horizon, the organization, the Unilever actually sent me to advanced management program, where you are exposed to all the core functions like
Uh,
marketing, sales, and operations. So um, so so
yeah.
I
Khalid sir, can you put the slides in presentation mode so that we can see it easier? Is it
it's
possible?
in presentation mode at the moment from my side.
No, no. I think Deep, you have changed it, right?
Shall I stop it and share it again?
Yeah. Now it is in presentation mode. Yeah. We are seeing the first page.
First page? Okay, I'm on this third
Yeah,
page.
yeah. Yeah, now it's fantastic. Please carry on.
So which slide are you on?
Now we see your profile. Yeah.
Okay. If I Let me know if the slide has changed.
Yeah, now it is changed. That means it's active. Yeah, please
Okay, it's
proceed.
fine, then it's working. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kuldeep. So the purpose of any business is to create value for its stakeholders. And when you're talking about stakeholders, the first one, the customer is the king. So customers and consumers are your key stakeholders, and we'll see how we create value for each one of them. Our suppliers and vendors, our employees, investors and shareholders, bank and lenders, regulators and NGOs, government and communities. So every one of them has got a deep stakeholder. They have a stake in our business, how it is run, how it is managed, what are the uh, impact on society, and the shareholder return. So if you look at this simplified strategy map, you'll see at the very top it used to be shareholder value only. And now this has fundamentally changed in today's world. But you can still relate that all the activities, all the objectives that you see here ultimately leads to value creation. Next slide. This is taken from Mihai in a recent course, and there you'll see the new strategy map, whereby at the bottom are the business enablers. So there is human capital, there is information capital, and there is a organizational capital, which includes the leadership and culture. And then you have internal processes, and that includes innovation, that includes your operations management, that includes how we engage customers, and also processes relating to compliance and regulatory. The next is about our stakeholders, and they are about consumers, customers, and how we relate to them, and also what kind of goodwill or brand image we create and the market share we achieve. So these are the other stakeholders, as we see, they also need to be addressed. This is a simplified version. So a real strategy map could have much more, many more stakeholders reflecting here. But the ultimately, all businesses are trying to grow their business sustainably, and they're also looking at the profit margin. They're looking at cash flow. They're looking at their indebtedness, and ultimately creating value as an organization. By being profitable, the organization is able to invest in future growth, invest in R&D, invest in its talent management, invest in its brand, which will ultimately lead to more value creation. The next concept that I'm going to discuss is about the value chain. So the value chain not only exists within the organization itself, but it consists of your outside alliances and partners. So, for example, your key suppliers, your distributors, and ultimately your retail outlets, uh, etc. They allow a company to complete the value chain and uh, from inception to the consumer buying the product off the shelf. So we'll be looking at it in more detail. So as you see that all businesses are all about value, this is an internal view of the value chain. You have primary activities, which will include the inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, after sales services. And these are supported by your support activities, which includes procurement, technology people, HR people, and firm infrastructure, which will include finance, which will include legal, admin, and your leadership are there. So support activities are critical to business strategy process. So these people are primary activities are the execution of strategy, whereas the support functions actually help uh, make the strategy or strategy formulation and also ensure that the right resources are available for strategy execution. But ultimately, the entire purpose of these activities is to create value. So, what is strategic value creation? So, it is a process by which organizations develop and implement strategies to generate a value for its stakeholders. And we talked about them. And these are our customers, employees, vendors, shareholders, and community. And the value creation is integral to long term business success as it involves a comprehensive approach to managing resources, capabilities. Mihai talked about capabilities and capability gap. One of the core function of strategy is to mitigate, to fulfill, to actually remove any capability gaps for the new strategy, and also look at external factors to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. These days, competitive advantage life cycle has gone extremely short, and we see that technology such as AI has really speed up the pace of innovation. And what we used to see that a new innovation would come after a period of time. Now the new versions of the products are coming in at a much faster pace. The key examples are your cell phones, which with new features coming every year. There is a new model of a phone. If not more than in 1 year, you can actually have two launches by the same company, or even more. So So generally, when you go to universities and they will teach you, and this is what happened to me when I went to Harvard, is that the value is the difference between the willingness to pay by the customer and the willingness to sell by the organization. And this is the value that the company creates. And the value is created for customers by giving them safe, quality products um, that helps to increase the willingness to pay. You can also have complementary products that supports the willingness to pay or something. So, for example, when you are buying a cell phone, uh, the headset can be an additional complementary product, or the charger, or some of the software that comes with it can be a complementary product. Uh, um, the third area where companies are working are the network, creating a network, and that actually helps people. So, for example, Microsoft Office is used by millions of people across the world, and it has become a global standard when it comes to office productivity. So, it has a network effect. And then companies focus also on creating strong brands with emotional connection. For example, Unilever's Dove brand for shampoo, for being a mild shampoo for your hair care. It creates an emotional connection. Similarly, for employees, the organization creates an environment. First of all, better compensation or by creating more attractive working condition. So you may have heard of Google creating a campus whereby they provided all the benefits. So if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, the food is available, the juices are available. You can do shopping inside in the office campus. And I saw similar concept at Novartis in their Switzerland campus, whereby they had cafeterias across the office campus, and there was even a shopping center, a supermarket where you can buy uh, groceries and then go home. Also, training development opportunities are key to provide employees a good an environment whereby um, they will actually stay in the organization, and it will lead to a greater job satisfaction and increased productivity, and also it will reduce the turnover. So employees, so one of the biggest asset of any organization is their talent, and the West is actually realizing, has already realized, especially in the US, where they've been importing talent from globally, from all over the world, and that's how their economies were built by immigrant talent. So we see a lot of Indian people. Um,
To creation is the difference between uh, what customer is willing to pay and what customer is getting. Okay, what
that
you are trying to tell.
Yeah,
That is something very interesting. You would like to tell something, a real life example you have tried. Did it something
no,
like
no,
that? Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. I will. I mean, this is the concept that when I went to Harvard, and um,
Mhm.
the professor Felix Obergi uh, presented this. I said my investment has actually uh, been recovered. Um, the willingness to pay is the perceived benefit by a consumer. So whenever Unilever used to try and launch a new product, they would want
Mhm.
to know how much the customer is willing to pay. So they will actually do a survey, interviews with various consumers in a consumer panel, and they will show the product and they say, how much are you going to be, how much are you willing to receive or pay for this product? So that's how the willingness to pay concept comes from. But then the same concept is also about willingness to sell. So how much is an
Mhm.
employee willing to come and join your organization,
Mhm.
and at what pay level? So if the organization is like Unilever or a Procter and Gamble or a Google, who offer, besides salary, a very uh, good working environment, good working culture, they may be able
Mhm.
to join you at a lower salary, but because
Mhm.
they see growth opportunity.
Mhm.
Similarly, value for suppliers. The supplier, by seeing that you are a consistent buyer, you are a large buyer, they will be able to offer you some discount or some credit. So these additional value, these can actually generate more value for the organization.
Mhm.
So
Now,
it's a very
mhm.
yeah. So this is at an individual level, but when you look at the organization as a whole, where hundreds of transactions are happening, hundreds of activities are being run, so all activities, if they are focused on, so generally the finance people will help you identify any opportunities, or the engineers will offer opportunities for efficiency. So most of the organization have got productivity targets of reducing cost by 1% or 2% every year. Um, when I was last at Novartis, they did a global productivity cycle to save more than $1 billion in a for yeah. So every year they would be able to generate 1 billion saving, um, which which is amazing. So they created shared services. For example, in India, they put in a shared service center which would uh, do service for more than 120 countries. So these kind of initiatives are taken by the organization to create more value, and we'll see more about that. How are we doing? I see some a screen appearing uh,
Mhm.
on LinkedIn.
Mhm. Yeah. So we are able to see the screen, Khalid Saab. I think you
But
can continue. But I would
yeah,
like to ask a question since the
yes.
topic has come up. When you have a gap, like what customer is willing to pay and what you want to sell, okay, what is the price? So how do you choose in Unilever? How did you choose? So which you want
So
to keep some
right.
gap from the customer perception? What is it you tried?
Okay. So it will depend on the positioning of the brand. So if it is a luxury brand, a premium brand like Dove shampoo, then you'll be pitching your price at a higher level than, for example, the other brand is Sunsilk. So that would be a mass brand. Um, so that will be a much more economical shampoo. So it's not an exact science, but then
Mhm.
um, the organization, in order to penetrate, they do a lot of promotional activities also. So sometimes 10 rupee off, 20 rupee off, you get an extra bottle or something. So those are also kind of incentive for people to use the product and experience the product, and then they hopefully they will buy. Repeat purchases will happen.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
not that simple. Okay,
No.
but there are many other things which guide you to take a final decision how to
Yeah.
position. Okay,
So
sir. Your slide
right.
is visible. If you would like to continue,
O-
yeah,
Okay, so can we come to a slide which says two slides? I think one or two slides before this one.
yeah. Can you just? It's in assessing a good strategy.
Yeah. So if you go to
Yeah,
a slide called Understanding Value,
yeah. We are in that slide now.
the LinkedIn is still showing assessing a good strategy.
No, LinkedIn. No, LinkedIn. There will be some lag. Don't worry about
Oh, okay,
LinkedIn.
okay, okay.
Okay. So it's Steam ad is the one you should take.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah, I see. Now it's got the same. Uh, s- so sorry to the audience for this technical glitch, but we had some good question answer session in between. So the value for suppliers, now that this is very interesting. I can recall that in one of our negotiation with suppliers at Unilever, one of the largest packaging company, uh, and we were having competition with Procter and Gamble, and we wanted to relaunch Lux, for example, and we wanted to make it better looking, more premium looking than P&G's Camay. We worked together with so we developed the packaging together, and we showed them the quantities that we will be able to order, and we make them that you will be the only supplier for this particular brand, and we were able to obtain a good price from this packaging supplier. The packaging supplier was also very happy because they managed to sign on a very long-term quantities with Unilever. So, uh, so, so a good supplier can actually help you with innovation. They can do R&D on your behalf, and they can also bring in some new ideas about new packaging. So, for example, liquid soap uh, is also an example whereby the challenge was packaging material. It requires a pump and so on. So in today's world, organizations work with key partners, alliances, research people in the universities, and also specialist companies that offer, for example, Unilever works with perfume companies a lot. So each product that they sell, their personal hygiene care products, have got perfume. And so they have long-term relationship with perfume suppliers. So a good business will be creating values for all its stakeholders. The other stakeholders are government, for example. They are ensuring that we are providing employment to young graduates and also to the workers. There's a fair working condition, fair pay. Also, the government collects taxes. So there is a whole lot of stakeholders that are genuinely interested in that the organization should be creating value. Okay, I'll change the slide and see. Has the slide changed?
We're still in understanding value.
Right. The next slide should say the strategy and value creation relationship. So there is some
Yeah.
time lag which is
Yes.
happening.
Yes.
Has
Yeah.
it come?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right. So as you saw that strategy is a continuous process, but then a well-defined strategy acts as a roadmap for value creation. It identifies your target markets, it defines your competitive advantage and outlines how you will deliver a superior value to your customers. And by focusing on the right things and allocating resources based on your strategy, it will help you to achieve your value creation goals. So that is the relationship between a strategy and value creation. Next slide. Let me know when it comes. It should
Yeah. Yeah.
say assessing a good strategy.
Mhm.
Now it's very difficult to assess a strategy because, as Mihai said, that strategy is all about future. But then there are certain attributes that it should be. It should say that it's a good. First of all, it should be clear and concise, and everybody in the organization should be able to understand the organization goals and direction. So, for example, in Novartis. We called it strategic priorities, and they will every year they will issue 5 or 6 global priorities which will which everybody in the organization, 100,000 people working globally, will focus on those top 5 or 6 uh, strategic priorities. In Unilever we used to call it must win battles. Same thing, same concept. So it has to be clear and concise. It has to be customer centric. So all of the activities that we should be doing should deliver value to our target audience or customers. We should be very competitive, and our we should shape the organization that we should have a competitive advantage, either in terms of talent, in terms of brands, in terms of processes, in terms of scale, in terms of our reach. Then our strategy should be feasible. So all the strategy has to go through a validation process that Mihai also showed in his that before planning it has to go through a feasibility stage whereby you actually create scenarios and see the best case, the worst case, the most likely case, and see um, how likely is whether you will be able to create value from this particular strategy.
A while ago. Let me just check it. Yeah. One question is okay. Wait. So where is that? I can see it. So it's a question from Benjamin. So
Right.
Benjamin, he's what he's asking is, what is your opinion on forecasting as an added value for the design of the strategy? Okay. So
So
how could yeah? What is
yes.
your opinion on forecasting as an added value for the design of strategy?
Okay. Yeah, it's a great question, Benjamin. For any business leader or chief executive or the leadership team, they have to do planning 3 years ahead, 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, and 20 years ahead. They have to have a vision, and they have to understand how the world offers opportunities as well as threats. So, forecasting is part and parcel of any executive leadership team. Um, and the finance people actually help translate these forecasts into numbers, but essentially, the marketing people will forecast as to what are the changing habits and attitudes of consumers. For example, in terms of foods these days in the US, there's uh, f- uh, they want to do much more healthier food, um, and they are more into organic food. So Amazon has come up with a whole food outlet where they offer organic foods. So so marketing is looking at that. This the technology people, the R&D people are looking at the emerging technologies. So all the teams have to forecast as to how the world is going to be changing. What are the new opportunities that are going to come? So I mean, we see companies like Tesla understanding that people are worried about climate change and there is a need for an electric car, and they went ahead and actually produced a beautiful electric car, and now the world is actually following. The Chinese have come into the race. All the other U.S. companies are also into it. So. Forecasting plays a critical role. So forecasting doesn't mean only numbers. Forecasting is all about taking into account all the factors that can impact consumer behavior about a certain product, certain category. Uh, so, yeah, and forecasting is an essential part of strategy design. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see the screen now. I think you can continue, Khalid.
All right. So, the screen I want is called Measuring Strategy Success. It's
Yeah,
two, three screens before this.
it's visible now.
Which one is visible?
Measuring strategy success is
Ah,
increasing.
strange. Right. Thank you. Yeah, for some reason. Yeah, got it. So, how do you measure success of a strategy that you're implementing? And it is all about increasing value. And then when you are looking at that, you're looking at business growth. And in the business growth, you're looking at your customer demand that it is increasing, and that is reflected through sales revenue, your repeat businesses from your customers, your business volume, your customer retention, the market that you are able to access, and the average sales value, and the number of request proposals that you receive, and the quality and the size. So, uh, this is an indication that your strategy about your positioning of products is working well. Your customer like your products, and therefore you see a global um, demand for your product. Similarly, if you need to assess your competitive position, how are you performing in relation to your competition? So you have to measure market share. So Unilever actually pays a lot of money to uh, Gallup and other AC Nielsen, who actually provide market share data. So market position, your competitive, your wins against competition, your growth rate, and very interestingly, margins. How much margins you are able to command. The stronger your brand, the better the margins. I would like to share one thing that there was a quotation in our finance at Unilever, and it says you can get away with murder as long as your margins are right. Because the margins are actually, it's easy for salespeople to give discount, but then it actually destroys margins. And then uh, you are unable to fund future growth. So it was critical that we were given brand margins that for luxury products like cosmetics, the margins could be as high as 80%. For mass products, it would be close to 40%. And for uh, medium products, it could be in the region of 60 to 70%. We were struggling with margins on the laundry powder, the Washington washing powder detergent surf at one time, because there was a price war going on with Procter and Gamble. It was very difficult for both companies to make the business profitable. And at one time, it was thought that it is a commodity and not a brand, and therefore we should get out of the this business. But then strong branding, strong differentiation, we were able to create value. And today in Pakistan, the Surf brand is their largest brand. So because they were able to create, there were some opportunities also. The price of palm oil and tallow went up, and therefore the cost of washing soap became higher, and so it became cheaper to produce, cheaper for household to go switch from soaps to washing powder, and now it's the largest brand. So you look at your competitive position when measuring success, and eventually everything has to be translated in terms of financial. So you're looking at the gross profits, you're looking at gross margins. So gross profits is the absolute amount, and gross margin is percentage. You're looking at the operating profit, operating margin, the earning before income tax, and before depreciation. And these are various finance key performance measures, return on total assets. And this you are looking at in a trend way that over the past 5 years, how are these measures or ratios improving or not? So if your strategy is well executed, then you would see a positive trend in your gross profit, gross margins, and profitability. Next slide is saying about leadership and value creation. The accountants used to categorize the leadership role as indirects or sometimes even overheads. And I used to wonder, and we pay our direct marketing director, or supply chain director, or the chairman or chief executive very high salaries. So they must be adding value. They can't be simply overheads. And of course, they add value, and some of the values that they bring in a leadership team is vision and strategy. They bring in a culture and values, and a culture that encourages innovation, collaboration, and customer centricity. Then, in terms of employee engagement, a lot of chief executives do quarterly town halls. They share new product launches, they share about the company performance, they share about the strategy going forward. Now, that creates a strong employee engagement. Um, then again, the leadership team works on building stakeholder relationships with suppliers, shareholders, and the community. Uh, they also help in change management, and lastly on performance management by setting benchmark and KPIs, and they regularly uh, quarterly do performance measurement of the company as well as the key business leaders. So a lot of value is created through leadership team, and that is the core role of. So leadership are into strategy design and strategy execution, and their focus is how the organization can create more value and stay competitive, whereas the organization layer below is more focused on strategy execution. Next slide is about innovation and value creation. Now we've seen in today's world that innovation is playing a very important role in business growth. So you will see later in the slide, companies that are more innovative are able to grow substantially, much more at a much more higher pace than the rest of the competition. So by bringing in new products and services, by improving the current products and services, by enhanced customer experiences, and also by increasing efficiency, they are able to create more value. So innovation is essential for business that want to stay ahead of the competition and create value for their stakeholders. Has the slide changed to innovation? Kuldeep, has the slide changed to innovation and value creation?
No, no.
No. Any questions? Okay, I see. The slide has changed to innovation and value creation. So, new products, improved products, enhance customer experiences, and increase efficiency are some areas. But in today's world, innovation is totally coming out. I mean, since AI has come in, we see a change to innovation and value creation. So, new products, improved products, enhance customer experiences, and increase efficiency are some areas. But in today's world, innovation is totally coming out. I mean, since AI has come in, we see a sorry.
Khalid sir,
Yes.
can you check your, yeah,
Okay. Uh, Next slide is about digital transformation. So it is related to innovation. The digital transformation is creating new customer experiences. You are getting to know about your customers far more detailed. You're able to. The big example is Amazon, whereby they are able to understand um, the customer behavior, and they are able to. Sorry. Yeah, they are able to push products that are likely to be purchased uh, because they know your buying pattern. So for example, I bought a watch on Amazon, and next time they will bring in new varieties of watches, or I bought some accessories for laptop. They will show, or the books, the kind of books. So they have really enhanced the customer experience. It's now much easier to shop on these platforms. The second is the operational efficiency and the innovation that digital transformation is bringing. And also, what it helps you is by it can give you data driven decision making power. So, digital transformation can actually deliver data in a summarized form, which you can generate insights from, and then it will be able to you'll be able to make a data-driven decision. Um, these digital tools also enhance employee engagement and productivity. For example, collaboration tools um, can facilitate communication and teamwork, and whereas a learning platform can provide opportunities for employee development. So we see a lot of development in this area. The Coursera, the LinkedIn, all offering learning platform, which just a second. Are you able to see the changing of the screens?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It now says valuation of a company.
You are right.
Right. So yesterday we talked about how strategy creates value for all its stakeholders, and how innovation is important, how digital initiative is important, how sustainability is important in creating value. Now I'm coming to the part where how do we actually measure the valuation of a company? So for a public listed company, it's the easiest. You look at the share prices and you do a market capitalization, which is already available. So that's the easiest way. The other methods that are available are the financial statement analysis, but it's not a very good measure because the valuation contained in a financial statement is generally historic, um, and it also misses intangibles, often like brand goodwill, etc. The other very popular method is the discounted cash flow, and it is based on future cash flow of a company, which where you do a projected cash flow and then discount it back to its present value. And this actually considers companies' growth prospects as well as risk. And in the M&A world, this is one of the more popular uh, method. And McKinsey also offers these kind of follows this kind of valuation also. Also, market multiples is also one of the guiding valuation method, whereby you are comparing a company, similar company to the business in the industry, and you look at the metric like price earning ratio and apply it to the target company. And so, if the for example, if the P/E ratio is 20 for a similar company, and your earnings are about a million, so the valuation of your company would be 20 million. Similarly, the other methods which are also popular are asset based valuation, but in general, there has to be, you have to take into account many factors and also the qualitative aspects. So it would be the brand reputation, the market position, and the management expertise. So doing a calculation of for valuation is a complex methodology that you need to do, and generally there are experts. So the big four companies, as well as companies like McKinsey, offer a lot of value. Uh, they create a lot of value. PwC comes up with their own method of valuation. So every company has their own framework, and I'll briefly go through some of them now. What happened? Are you able to see the screen called McKinsey
Yeah,
valuation method?
yes, yes, we can see it.
Right, great. So if McKinsey is the master in valuation, and they have published a series of book. The recent one is seventh or eighth edition, uh, and their method of valuation is to first really understand the business. What are the growth drivers? What is the future trends of that business and industry? Then they do the forecast, the P&L forecast, and the cash flow forecast, like a 10-year period. Then they look at what kind of discount rates needs to be applied, and then they calculate the terminal value, apply sensitivity analysis, arrive at a valuation range, and also look at the comparable market comparable metrics like price earning ratio, or the turnover. Sometimes it's also done on turnover size, and then finalize the valuation conclusion. Generally, it's a price range, the best price, highest price to a lowest price. So it's a kind of range that they follow. This is an example of using a discounted cash flow model, whereby you're looking at the historical values from 2013 to 2017, and then looking at the future prospects of that. And the cash flow is calculated. First, you are doing a P&L, and then you convert it into a cash flow, and then you apply the discount factors, and you arrive at the intrinsic value of the business, and you actually compare it. If it is a public listed company, you actually look at the current value, and then you can look at the current price and the target price, and there is a price upside. In this example, there is a based on the future cash flow, there is a price upside of 121%, and an IRR giving a 40, very attractive 43%. So this is generally, the model is quite complex, and a lot of assumptions go into it. So it's very important that the assumptions are made carefully, and you can do scenario analysis in here, and whereby a best case scenario, a worst case scenario, and a most likely scenario. So it gives you a range of valuation. Here is PwC value bridge, whereby when they are invited to do uh, a valuation exercise, they look at the baseline value, which is the current market value um, of the organization. Then they do due diligence, whereby they look at various risk factors and commercial trends, cyber risk. They look at the HR organization, they look at the IT systems, operations, regulatory and tax issues, and they may increase the value or they may decrease the value depending on the risk. So, and they arrive at a as is enterprise value. And then they do a strategic positioning exercise whereby they look at the various capabilities the organization requires to capture the value. So, for example, assess the mergers and acquisition potential of the organization. What are the new markets that it can target? What are the new skills and technology gaps? And then reallocation of investment for a much better competitive advantage. So this can also lead to an increase in the valuation, and then you arrive at the potential value increase. And the next is performance improvement, and whereby these McKinsey's or PwC in this case, they optimize the product, the channel, the customer strategy, and the internal structures, and they come up with a potential value increase. And lastly, they look at the overall asset optimization, and they look at the working capital effectiveness. They look at how to eliminate tax leakages, and also um, optimizing the debt and capital structure. And this way, um, they look at the potential upside, and at the end, they arrive at the full potential value of an organization. So another very popular people who are into business valuation are the private equity guys. They are far more aggressive people. They look at the attractive target and then they invest in that company, and they make it more valuable over a certain period, and then they sell it off after 3 to 5 years or even a longer period. Uh, so, what the way they create value in an organization is to focus relentlessly on the value of the company it is generating. They focus on cash generation, and they are they actually are quite fast in their action, and they treat time as money, and they look at long term. They assemble a great management team to run the organization. They hire the best in the industry available, and they link they link their pay and to the performance, stretch performance, and also they actually uh, s- put stretch goals for the management. Some of the leading um, private equity group are listed here, and the Blackstone Group is the biggest private equity group. They control approximately 10 trillion uh, worth of investment, and they are the largest in the world. The others are KKR, the Carlyle Group, Vista, TPG, Warburg, and Neuberger, etc. Now, the next part of the presentation is actually about real world examples of how companies have, in the recent past, created value. So, Apple comes to the mind. In today's valuation, Apple comes in the, as a top company in terms of market valuation, market capitalization, uh, and they've been at the very top since a couple of years. Uh, Microsoft has come close, and there's a very close race between Microsoft and Apple. So, what are the key drivers of valuation for Apple? Are the product innovation, and Apple has consistently created value through innovative products like the iPhone, iPad, MacBook, and they focus on design, functionality, and user experience, and really innovative products. People are in love with the brands, and they actually queue up for any future launches. They have also created an ecosystem, um, and all their devices are interconnected to their operating system, Apple Watch, Apple TV, Apple Music. So they all are interconnected, and this has enhanced customer loyalty and increases the lifetime value of the customers. Brand loyalty is Apple is very famous that Apple's customers are diehard brand loyal, and this allows them to command a premium pricing, leading to high profit margin and sustained revenue growth. Um, if you look at the valuation, currently they are close to 3 trillion is the valuation of Apple, and it has since 2017, and especially in 2019, their valuation has just shot up uh, to close to 3 billion now. If you look at other leading companies, um, Apple at close to 3 trillion, Microsoft at close to 2.8 trillion, Saudi Aramco at 2.1 trillion, Alphabet, which is Google, 1.8 trillion, Amazon 1.6 trillion, and very surprisingly, the newest entry is is Nvidia. This is a microchip manufacturer, and they make the graphic processing unit, which is currently being used by all the artificial intelligence companies like uh, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft. They all use the microchip produced by NVIDIA. So it's the newest entry. Uh, Facebook or the Meta platform, it's close to zero point 0.9 trillion. Tesla, zero point 0.8 trillion. And Berkshire Hathaway, it's valued at close to zero point 0.8 trillion. So you can see that by by having a great strategy, they are able to generate uh, a very high value for the shareholders, uh, and it's quite. And so the only traditional company that we see here is the Saudi Aramco, which is a petroleum company. But the other are mostly technology based, and especially in the IT industry. So they managed to create a very high value. Uh, so let's look at some of the examples of these companies, how they have been able to generate value. So Microsoft really multiplied its value by coming into cloud services, and they gave the Azure platform, which gives a comprehensive suite of cloud services, attracting a wide range of enterprise customers. So the large customers were attracted to Microsoft cloud services. Then they transitioned to a subscription model. So previously, you used to buy Office, and then whenever you needed to upgrade the license, you would pay something extra. But then now they have actually changed their model to a subscription model. So just imagine millions and millions of their subscribers now will uh, pay a recurring revenue for Microsoft, and this has really helped the valuation of the uh, Microsoft. And again, strategic acquisitions such as LinkedIn, GitHub has given Microsoft reach and capabilities, and these platforms give access to a broader ecosystem. And most recent acquisition include the OpenAI, where Microsoft invested about $10 billion, and we see how it is the whole world is reacting to ChatGPT, and they are already close to a couple of million. I can't remember the exact number, but one of the highest conversion rate um, to any software platform is on ChatGPT. Next is Amazon. Amazon is famous for its customer centricity and its relentless focus on customer satisfaction through a fast delivery and competitive pricing and a vast selection of products. So people are now addicted to shopping on. So if you're buying books or even any other thing, there's a large selection, and you are very sure that you will get a reliable response. Uh, and they tell you exactly when you are going to be receiving your products. So they have really mastered the art of supply chain and logistics by building their operational efficiency, um, and they use AI and machine learning to optimize inventory management and reduce cost and improve delivery times. Very surprisingly, Amazon also offers their web services, and it has become a major revenue driver by offering scalable, cost-effective cloud computing solution, contributing to Amazon's profitability. Tesla has made a big waves in the automobile industry, and they've come up with very attractive electric vehicles, and they've actually revolutionized the automotive industry by producing high performance electric car that appeal to the broad market. But we see a lot of copies. A lot of American companies are also making electric vehicles. Um, the German car industry is also making electric vehicles, and China is following in a great speed. So the whole entire world is actually looking at electric vehicles. So really, an industry transformation by Tesla. Tesla also into high tech, and they have actually created autonomous driving, which is driverless car, and they claim that it is more safer than a human driver because it is alert and it learns every time. And Tesla has also coming up with energy solutions such as solar panels and power battery storage system, and that creates additional value streams and supports a
Mhm.
sustainable energy ecosystem.
Khalid
So
Sab, the time, just please take care. So we need to have some space for questions also.
right, I we can stop here, Sheikh Sab.
Uh, any conclusion? Because you had some
Yeah,
initially very interesting
yeah.
topics.
I
Okay.
will just go to the conclusion slide.
Yeah, yeah.
So, uh, so the strategy is the most important element, and it is a process to create value for customers, employees, and its suppliers, and all the other stakeholders, um, including investors and shareholders. And the value is actually, we saw that it's a difference between willingness to pay and willingness to sell. And it can be created by focusing on quality, complements, network effects, and creating strong brands for emotional connections. Companies create values for employees by making jobs more attractive, and this notion actually we experienced in Google, whereby they really pamper their employees. They hire talent from all over the world and create work environment that is attractive for work for their employees to retain them by through better compensation, working conditions, and opportunities for growth and development. Also, for organization create value for suppliers by offering fair compensation, long-term relationship, and and collaboration to improve their efficiency and also to reduce their cost. And we saw some great examples of Apple. Netflix is another great example by changing the business model. Also, adapting to ever-changing external circumstances and challenges. So being resilient uh, helps, and also the organization by making clear communication of progress and performance. They are critical to executing a strategy. And lastly, um, Focusing on value creation, innovation, and effective communication leads to a sustainable growth, profitability, and strong relationship with all the stakeholders. And eventually, these all these strategy, value, and employees, culture, technology, innovation, these all are part of strategy design, which ultimately leads to value creation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Khalid Saab. It was really a eye-opening presentation. So what our organizers will do is we'll just make one video, okay, and then share, so that we can help the users to have one piece of presentation. So
Right,
that we do it, and we are open to questions. Any participant who would like to send any questions to Mr. Khalid, we will be taking up. And as the questions arrive, we will post you, Khalid sir.
okay,
Then, inshallah, we can just share it as we go on. So very
right,
insightful. I learned that second point, which is willingness to pay, and that was really, really very key takeaway at least for me. So that is
right.
something very interesting. Fantastic exposure. So we will have more such presentations and workshops going forward. And thank you for joining, Khalid sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.